You are listening to the SDSU podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your host, Andre Hagverdian. We're back for another episode of the SDSU podcast. I'm Andre Hagverdian, joined by Bryant Thursby. What's going on, Bryant?
Nothing much. We're having a good day.
We are another Aztec victory, a big one, 44-10 at Nevada. They're 5-1, 2-0 in the conference, one of three undefeated teams in the Mountain West still. They finally won a convincing game on the road after struggling through the first two road games. One they lost to Washington State, one they beat Northern Illinois 6-3. What were your impressions of this performance on Saturday night?
Yeah, well, unfortunately for myself, I was unable to watch the game, but just looking through the stats, looking through the box score and everything, Jane Denegal only had 17 pass attempts, but over 200 yards of passing and two touchdowns. So it seems like San Diego State did a really good job in the running game, getting the running game going, getting Lucky Sutton going, getting Washington going, getting those guys going, probably in between the tackles a little bit, probably running a little bit of counter, a little bit of power there, to give Denegal some room to kind of throw deep a little bit. Probably got some screen game in there as well with Napier, a couple shallows to get him going and get him in rhythm. Offense clearly seemed to be just on fire in the first half, along with special teams and defense. Just first half could not have gone better for San Diego State. Checking the score and seeing 35-0 at the half, that's about
Yeah.
as ideal as you want to see checking the score.
Yeah, and it was all three phases. Obviously, you get a punt return for a touchdown, less than a minute in the game. Then I think on their second drive was a pick six from Chris Johnson. So the offense, I think before the offense got their second drive of the game, they were already up 14-0. And then they went three touchdown drives in a row in the second quarter, and that's how they ended up 35-0. It was as complete of a performance, I think, from a team you could have. Now, Sean Lewis was a little upset at Monday's presser about the way they finished the game, but they had backups in there, young players getting valuable reps. I get it. That's the coach. You're supposed to be like that, but um, that fourth quarter was just like, let's just get this out of here, get out of here healthy, get through the 15 minutes, and they scored obviously 10 points to break the shutout, but it was a complete performance. I mean, as I mentioned, a punt return for a touchdown, perfect 3 for 3 field goals. Then you've got two turnovers and a pick six on defense, a shutout through three quarters. You've got six straight drives with a score by the offense. No turnovers again. 5 out of 6 games they've had no turnovers. Um, yeah, it was just a really good performance all around by the team. Where I know you didn't have a chance to watch the game, but even just from a box score perspective, like even just going back through the last maybe four games, right, since the Northern Illinois game and what the last two games really, Colorado State and Nevada, with how the offense has done. What do you think ultimately? Did anything change? Did it click? People are talking about, well, it finally clicked for Jaden Denegal in Game 5. What do you think it was?
It's small, minor adjustments that Sean Lewis made. It's nothing major. He didn't put in a whole new offensive system, run new offensive sets, offensive plays. It was just minor adjustments that needed to be made, both technicality wise and technically sound with the offensive line. Big part of Sean Lewis's offense, as we've seen, is getting Jordan Napier the ball short, getting him going in the screen game. And in order to do that, you need your receivers to block when they're stacked up and when they're in rail, on the numbers, whether it's the bottom or top of the numbers, short side of the field, to the boundary or to the field side, wherever they're at. It's getting those receivers technically sound and being able to block that first corner and giving Jordan Napier the opportunity to go one-on-one with the stack safety or the overhang linebacker coming in. Just small things that Coach Lewis and the coaching staff have kind of paid attention to and paid attention more to detail that has made a massive difference in the shift offensively because they've done everything pretty similar to what we saw against Washington State,
Mm.
what we saw early in the season against Stony Brook, what we saw against Cal. Offense didn't really do too much differently with play calling and everything. It's just paying more attention to detail, being more technically sound, and executing properly.
Yeah, I think the little things that I've seen, especially with better execution on short yardage, maybe go more T formation instead of like a shotgun read option kind of formation. I think that's helped. Their short yardage has been a lot better the last two games since kind of that Northern Illinois game where I think there were 2 of 9 in short yardage situations. So that's been good. But Denegal, I mean, he's 14 of 17, but throws for 205 yards. Like, that's a really good, obviously, it's a high completion percentage, but it's a lot of yards for only 14 completions, right? That's like, I think 14, 15 yards per catch, which is pretty good. So he's not just dinking and dunking and throwing 3 yard receptions. Like, these are big plays, and I think he's just looking really comfortable, especially these last two games.
Yeah, one of the plays that I did see was the rollout touchdown pass to Bostic, and
Yeah.
just understanding that he has the time, that he doesn't have to rush it, that he doesn't have to like place a perfect ball, places it at the front pylon, lets Bostic run underneath it a little bit, perfect in the breadbasket, and he didn't really try to force it too much. He wasn't trying
Yep.
to laser it in there. He seems a lot more comfortable and a lot more in rhythm in his throws. Just a lot more comfortable. His deep balls and everything have looked so much better since Washington State in my opinion. I even thought his deep balls were good against Northern Illinois. Honestly, I thought he had some good ones there that should have been brought down. Um, it's just he's looked a lot more smooth, and that's credit not just to Jaden Denegal, because obviously he has to put in the work and everything, but Sean Lewis sticking with him and providing confidence in his players. Just watching Coach Lewis's press conference, like he gives confidence to these players. He doesn't knock them down. Like, yeah, if they make a mistake, okay, let's talk about it. And then he builds them back up. And that's been a huge part, I think, of San Diego State's success in this year is Lewis's ability to take a little bit of responsibility in his coaching, but also, okay, my coaching, but also we've discussed this. You know what you have to do. You did it wrong. Okay, now let's correct it. And I'm not bashing you, but let's do this properly.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned that rollout touchdown to Bostic because everyone remembers that rollout on 4th and 3 against Washington State, where he could have ran for the first down, but he saw an open receiver, threw way overthrown, out of bounds. Was a similar play. It wasn't fourth down, but he was rolling out, could have ran for it, and threw the Bostic on the money and touchdown. That's one example, at least from his growth there. And then he had a 29-yard run which was his longest run of the year. It was on a read option. Um, that if he can get that part of the game going, in addition to Lucky Sutton and Christian Washington and Byron Caldwell getting their carries in production and the passing game, if Denegal can suddenly get use his legs for yards as well, then I don't know how a defense goes in to kind of prepare against this offense with how well he's playing. That's that next dimension, I think, of this offense that has not been fully unlocked yet.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Jaden Denegal with his legs turned San Diego State's offense into a little bit more lethal. Um, Now, when it comes to the Sean Lewis offense, if you are not running the ball effectively, it kind of limits the type of damage that Sean Lewis's offense can make in a game. So being able to run the ball effectively and doing that first is obviously been a point of emphasis with Sean Lewis ever since the Washington State game. Because
Yeah.
obviously we remember the fan base, we talked about it. Um, we kind of criticized him a little bit of not running the football a little bit more with Lucky Sutton, not getting him more involved. And he kind of criticized himself a little bit as well in the press conference after the loss and the following week into the
Yeah.
bye and everything, saying, we got to do some execution things, we got to do some minor tune-ups, but we got to, establish the run game and be a power run team get ready for to get those passing lanes open. And so far, San Diego State's done it since Washington State.
Yeah, shifting over to the defense, I mean, another solid performance. I think they're 10th in total yards allowed per game, sixth in points allowed per game in the country at 134 teams. They've given up 13 points in four of their five wins. The other 24 came in Colorado State, where I think some of those, like more than half of those points, came kind of in garbage time as well, similar to the 10 points they gave up to Nevada. So I mean, this defense has been on the money for pretty much for five out of six, really for 5.5 games, right? The Washington State game was more of a late second quarter, second half kind of struggle, but like everything is really seems to be clicking for this defense in all three levels. And Trey White had six tackles and a sack. Ryan Henderson had a sack. They held him to 254 total yards. Even without Tano Otuli, who's missed 2 games, the defense doesn't seem to be missing a beat without him, the captain and the guy who calls the plays. So that's really impressive leadership from the rest of the guys. What would you say about the defense?
I mean, just looking at the stats right now, this is a great sign for a defense is when it's always a good thing to have somebody that like is the leader in tackles, like double digit tackles. But I mean, just looking at these total tackle numbers, six, six, five,
Mm,
four, multiple guys with three, probably about like six guys that have three total tackles, multiple guys with two. Like you have guys that have multiple tackles, and that is a huge credit to not even just the effort and the ability that San Diego State's defense is playing with, but the coaching of Rob Arch and the defensive staff that Sean Lewis and Arch has built, maintaining 11 hats to the football, get to the football, no matter what. First, second guy there, wrap up. Third guy, try and get the ball, create turnovers. Chris Johnson, Bryce Phillips, you two playing out of your minds. Chris
mm.
Johnson's playing like one of the best cornerbacks in all of college football, not just uh, in the Mountain West. He's playing like one of
Yeah,
the best corners in all of college football, and he is getting a lot of the media attention right now
he is for sure.
um, for his draft stock coming into this NFL draft. Obviously, he had the ability to go into the draft last year, decided to come back, was a little bit shocking, and he has come back and has boosted his draft stock, bet on himself to make himself a little bit more money, and he's doing it. He is 100% doing it. I believe I saw he has a 10 passer rating when thrown at this year, which
Yeah.
means quarterbacks would do better off throwing into the dirt than throwing at Chris Johnson.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I've seen him as high as second round in some mocks. I've seen consensus third, late third, early fourth. Like, definitely has raised his stock with his play. We'll see how the season plays out, and there's a lot of time until April. But yeah, he's made a name for himself, and you're right. And every day you open social media, you've got another draft analyst who's kind of evaluating his tape or tweeting about the things they've seen from him or high grades or whatever. Um, I'm curious to see. San Diego State has had a lot of good corners in college, but when those guys have gone to the pros, they've kind of switched to safety, like a Demonte Casey, a Darren Hall. Um, some of these other guys that I'm sure we can name. But I think Chris Johnson might be the guy that actually will stay at corner when he goes to the NFL because I think that's where he is best suited. How he does in shorts when he runs the 40 and his jump and his size, I think that all that stuff is going to be, important to where he gets drafted. But I definitely see him playing corner in the next level, and I think San Diego State's definitely lucky to have him for 4 years here.
Yeah, he is definitely one of those cornerbacks that, as a defensive coordinator, makes it easy. If there's a number one guy on the team that you are worried about that might give you problems, Hey Chris, take care of him, please.
Yeah,
That's all you have to say. And he'll look at you and go, yes, coach. He's not going to do anything. And so far, he's done it all year so far. And he does it in man, he does it in zone. He's
yeah.
just fantastic.
The Bryce Phillips has also been really good. Obviously, he has an older brother that plays for the Falcons, so he's got, the bloodline for NFL talent. So he's gonna try to make a name for himself. He actually, I believe, went to the Hula Bowl last year and was planning on working out for the NFL until the junior college ruling came down that gave him an extra year, so he came back. Eric Butler, who kind of moved to the slot, he's a guy if you look at the box score, I think he has 17 tackles this year, maybe two pass breakups. Not much in terms of interceptions or turnovers, but I mean that guy has played almost as well as any player on defense this year basically eliminating slot receivers. Uh, I mean, and they played some teams that have used slot receivers um, a good amount, but San Diego State has been basically shut that down, and he's been a big part of it. He's another guy I think could play in the NFL next year, probably more as a safety because that's where he's been technically in college as well. But yeah, he's another guy that kind of gets overlooked because he doesn't have the stats and the turnovers and the fumbles and things like that, but he's been solid as well. And then Owen Chambliss, I think he's a guy that's I don't know if you could say he's surprised, but because he missed so much time last year with injuries and he struggled when he was coming back in and out of injuries, you weren't sure what you were getting out of him, and he's elevated his game to peak level, and so he's been one of the stars of the defense as well.
Yeah, one of the things about this defense is that everybody is selfless. Everybody
Yeah,
is selfless on this defense. They do their job. If somebody messes up, they don't try and, like, he didn't do his job, so I'm gonna try and make up for it. I'm gonna do my job. We'll take care of his problem and what he did wrong. Do my job first, make up for somebody else second. This defense is very selfless, and that's what has made it such a great defense, is that everybody is doing their job. Nobody's trying to do somebody else's job. And everybody's flying to the football. Corners, the Aztec position, the Warrior position that we have in the 4-2-5 defense, that kind of like that miniature kind of hybrid of a slot corner safety linebacker type of position like Eric Butler's been playing, have been playing amazing. And this obviously we have San Diego State has a bye this upcoming week. And we're going to talk about their opponent and their result in a second. But San Diego State, Fresno State, this defense is going to show truly what they're made of, because I believe Fresno State is better than what they played personally against Colorado State.
yeah, it's the three phases of the game. We've talked a lot about offense and defense, but special teams might have even been the best unit in the game against Nevada. You return a punt for a touchdown. Your field goal kicker makes all three field goals, sets a record, Mountain West record for 22 consecutive makes. Um, Longest active streak currently, I believe, still. Um, and then Hunter Green averages 50.7 yards per punt on three attempts at a long of 61, two down inside the 20. I mean, when we say it was a complete game in all three phases, it really was. It's hard to even say which phase was better than the other because that's how good all three were. About as complete as a game I think a football team can play. Um, and we're at the halfway point. Has the team exceeded your expectations? I think the easy answer is yes, but like based on how the games have gone, what are you most surprised about, I guess? If the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. And the reason why the answer is yes is how San Diego State in this team, in this coaching staff, battled adversity early on. Obviously, it's just 2 games into the season, but you go on the road to Washington State, a team that you probably should be a lot closer to in skill level than some might think.
Yeah.
And you go and you get absolutely blown out on the road. You get absolutely blown out on the road. Next game up is against Cal, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
Was up
After
against
a
Cal next
bye.
game after a bye, going into that bye week, going up against Cal. pretty much all of college football, including some Aztec fans, pretty much wrote San Diego State off against California, in the way that the freshmen had looked
Hmm.
for Cal, and going into that game and absolutely dominating that offense, dominating offensively as well, doing what they did, and then just continuing to build on that momentum off the Cal win.
Yeah.
Go to Northern Illinois, beat other Northern Illinois, obviously on the road, beat Colorado State, and then beat Nevada, beating these teams that you need to beat by double digits, that you need to blow out, that are bottom of your conference, and just playing well and playing through adversity. Now we get to see a different side of it of, okay, you're on a win streak now. You battled through adversity. What are you going to do now when you have a target now on your back for these teams that are probably not going to make the Mountain West Championship game, but want to stifle your hopes at doing that? So now it's okay, you battled adversity in losing. Now what do you do battling adversity against teams putting a target on your back?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, the Washington State game was an example of them falling behind and not dealing with that well. Um, but like, I'm curious. I mean, we talked about how they haven't turned the ball over much. They have been in the lead almost every quarter of the season except for that second half. What's going to happen when they play these tougher teams in the second half of the season? They throw a pick six or they have a turnover. They fall behind by 10, 14 points. I want to see how this team is going to respond to that because they're going to be in that situation at some point this year, and they're going to have to battle back from that, and that's what good teams do. And if you believe that San Diego State is a good team, which I do think they are, they will have to make a battle back from that adversity. So I'm interested to see that. But I mean, we as we sit here, they're one of three teams that are undefeated in the conference. Obviously, still 6 games to go. By the time they play Fresno State, they're going to be one of two teams undefeated because the other two teams play each other this weekend. UNLV and Boise State play on Saturday, so one of them is going to lose. Is it realistic to think that the San Diego State Aztecs could be playing in the Mountain West Championship game?
I think it's realistic with the way this team has played so far. The
Yeah,
way this offense has looked, the way this defense has looked, the way this special teams has been looking. All three facets have really executed now, not in all the games together in one, but we've seen games where the defense pretty much has executed amazing so far, besides some lulls in the Colorado State second half, some lulls in the Nevada second half. The
yeah,
defense has played pretty much out of its mind. Offense, a little bit of lulls here and there. Obviously, the Northern Illinois game had some lulls there. Second half Colorado State, second half Nevada, some lulls. And as a coach, obviously Sean Lewis showed some frustration. As a coach, you want your team, hey, we have our boot on their throat. Let's not let up. Let's crush it. Let's continue to take advantage of them offensively and drive down their throat. And let's just end them and not take our foot off the gas pedal. And that's something that this team needs to do when they do play lesser teams. Because next home game, not saying Wyoming is not a bad football team or anything, but
yeah,
going from Fresno State to Wyoming's a team that you should beat, especially at home. So if San Diego State goes up big against Wyoming early on, do they continue to put their foot on the gas and don't let up? Or is it going to be similar to what they did against Colorado State, to what they did against Nevada, letting up a little bit and letting that offense get a little bit of momentum heading into next week? Because as we saw, clearly the momentum in that second half for Colorado State led into the Fresno State game,
yeah,
49 points against Fresno State.
yeah.
So
How surprising.
extremely surprising to me.
Yeah,
Keeping your foot on the gas pedal is important to me.
yeah. I mean, we're not fully ready to deep dive into the Fresno State matchup, but like, I think that was surprising to see Colorado State beat them. Fresno State kind of self-destructing. But going to Fresno, Battle of the Old Oil Can, San Diego State has it. They're going to take it with them and hopefully bring it back uh, for their wishes, obviously. Um, but yeah, I think Fresno State is still one of the most formidable opponents on the schedule in the second half of the season, but I don't know what to make of them after that Colorado State game.
Yeah, I think Fresno State's a lot better than what they played against Colorado State personally.
Hmm.
Um, I think it was, they had a couple turnovers, special teams didn't play their greatest, but now you have a Fresno State team that knows that they can play better than what they did, and now they have lit a fire under themselves. They have lit a fire under themselves going into a rivalry game. This can be dangerous. As San Diego State and as Sean Lewis kind of keeping them focused, keeping eyes straight, not really focused on Fresno State's past results. Hey, this is still a really good football team. As Coach Lewis would like to call the team up north. The
Yeah,
team up north is a really good football team still, and we need to treat them as such when talking to obviously Sean Lewis talking to the team, needing to treat the team up north as a good football team and not just, oh, we murdered Colorado State, so that means we can murder Fresno State now because Colorado State beat Fresno State by 28 points. Now, this is still a really good football team, and we cannot take them lightly, is what Sean Lewis needs to be telling his group.
yeah. Yeah, the last time San Diego State went to Fresno State was that
2022 game.
infamous onside kick recovery from Fresno State coming back from I think it was maybe 15 down in the fourth quarter to win. It was the Jalen Maiden who had become the quarterback, and I think that they had won. I want to
Jesse
say they had won
Matthews, I
three or
believe,
four
had two
games in a row
touchdowns
going
that
into
day.
that game, and had a chance to make the conference championship, and that game kind of derailed it. But like, yeah, I remember that one was a tough game. Just the
I
way
remember,
it,
I remember that whole day way too well.
yeah,
I remember that whole day way too well.
yeah. So. Yeah, obviously this week they have a bye. They're going to sit back, watch some college football. Obviously, I think some of the coaches there will be doing their recruiting trips. Um, class of 2026 has a lot of commits, but recently they've had a couple decommits. Walter Moore decommitted, and Malik White, really promising offensive lineman from Rancho Cucamonga, decommitted yesterday. Well, we sit here Wednesday. On Tuesday, he was a guy that his cousin played at San Diego State, grew up watching the Aztecs, was um, very happy to be an Aztec. But I'm sure other offers came along, probably from bigger schools that made it hard to pass up. So we'll see where he ends up committing and signing. But Aztecs are still have a lot of talented committed players for this class, and they're probably going to look to flip some guys of their own onto their commitments. So, this weekend will be a big opportunity for the staff to put those um, visits in and see what they can get. Obviously, you want to keep the guys that are committed to you, and you want to get some new guys. So, we'll see where they stand after this weekend with some of those.
Yeah, and there's some big games with a lot of big time recruits this Friday in high school football in the Inland Empire area, in the Los Angeles County area, in San Diego County. There's a lot of big games this week, so very much expect if you're one of those people that goes to high school games on Fridays, like myself,
Yeah.
um, you might see an Aztec coach there. You might see multiple coaches there because there are a lot of big time games in these areas.
Yeah, it's a bye week for or football, but basketball has an exhibition game with UCLA on Friday. Are you going to be there, Bryant?
I will be there.
All right,
I
I'll be there
will be
too.
there.
Yeah, so basketball is obviously getting going. The game won't count, but playing UCLA at Viejas. It's going to be hard to tell the players and the fans that this game doesn't count once the game gets going, especially if it's close coming down to the wire. But yeah, basketball is getting going. We've put out some articles and episodes on basketball. A lot more to come, obviously, but we're excited to have another season covering basketball in addition to football.
Yeah, which stay tuned for me, Andre, and Chris to do a little preseason preview podcast, giving each other our thoughts and views on the season and what we think this team is going to do. Me personally, just a little preview and then my thoughts. I'm excited for this team, to say the
Yeah,
least. I am extremely excited for this team. Will have more to say for our preview pod on the season, but this team's going to be exciting. And if you love San Diego State sports, you are going to love this San Diego State men's basketball team and even women's basketball team, which is a team we do not cover too often, but
right.
they are exciting in their own right, getting some really quality transfers in the transfer portal.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Can't forget the women, and then obviously baseball and softball will get cracking as well. Baseball has a new coaching staff. Softball obviously is still trying to, take the next level from what they've done in past seasons, getting to the postseason. So a lot of stuff going on the Mesa for us to talk about and cover. So we'll look forward to all that. Any last words before we close this out?
Which, speaking of softball, look for next Saturday. San Diego State is hosting a scrimmage game, I believe, against Ventura.
Hmm.
I want to say. Ventura and I believe another D1 school is going to be there. I will be there. So if you are interested in San Diego State softball and you want to come support the scrimmage or just follow my social media, EVT Bryant, I will be there covering those two games and getting a little bit of a sneak peek into San Diego State softball's 2026 roster.
Nice. Yeah, definitely excited for that as well. Once again, thank you guys for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, share with all your favorite on all your favorite platforms. As always, we appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time. You are listening to the SDSU podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your host, Andre Hagperdian.